The Ukrainian Air Force is destroying Russian military command centers, weapons depots, assembly areas, and strategic base areas with numerous attack operations. We have compiled the most striking attack operations of the Ukrainian Air Force for you. You won't believe the consecutive airstrikes and the devastation they cause. Before we begin, please don't forget to join our YouTube channel's Telegram group, like our videos, and turn on notifications. For the first airstrike operation by the Ukrainians, we're heading to the village of Kozynka in the Belgorod Oblast. A MiG-29 fighter jet carries out precision airstrikes on a building housing Russian military personnel using two AASM Hammer bombs. The footage begins showing a Russian command center consisting of several buildings within a forested area. The sky is clear. This makes for ideal weather conditions for an airstrike. The MiG-29 fighter jet likely obtained the coordinates of this Russian command center in Kozynka from a Ukrainian drone operator. This is evident from the footage, which shows the fighter jet carrying out a pinpoint attack. Following intense explosions, the Russian command center is completely destroyed. It is believed that there were a large number of Russian soldiers inside the command center. It is truly incredible that Ukrainians were able to carry out such an airstrike operation within the borders of Belgorod using a MiG-29 fighter jet, and that the operation was successful. All the buildings are blown to pieces. You can see how high the dust clouds are rising. After the dust settles, the final state of the Russian command center is visible in the footage. Everything has been reduced to a pile of rubble. We are now turning our attention to the Kursk Oblast. In the village of Lokot in the region, the Ukrainian Air Force is carrying out an incredible operation. A Russian command center can be seen in the wooded area here. It is clear that there are a large number of Russian soldiers inside this military structure, which consists of several buildings. However, the Ukrainian Air Force is closely monitoring this command center in Lokot. The Russian soldiers are unaware of this. Ukrainian drone operators are providing the coordinates of this command center to a group of MiG-29 teams, continuing their sorties toward the village of Lokot in Kursk. The MiG-29 fighter jet group is preparing AASM Hammer guided bombs. It is not difficult to imagine that the command center will soon be reduced to rubble. The MiG-29 pilots are locking onto the Russian command center with their AASM Hammer bombs. Seconds later, the first explosion occurs. Massive columns of black smoke rise into the sky as the Russian military facility is reduced to rubble. The smoke becomes so thick that the sky is almost completely blackened. Following this critical attack carried out by the MiG-29s with AASM Hammer-guided bombs, the Russian military facility is rendered unusable, and numerous Russian soldiers are neutralized at the scene. Thus, another successful attack by the Ukrainian Air Force is recorded. Now it's time to shift our focus to the village of Velika Novosilka in the Donetsk Oblast. The target is a munitions building hidden within the village. After Ukrainian drone operators identified this building and obtained intelligence indicating that it contained thousands of tons of Russian military munitions, Ukrainian forces moved in. Despite the presence of numerous buildings side by side within the village, we are now witnessing a pinpoint attack. MiG-29 pilots are back in action. The building, which was likely used as an ammunition depot, is being leveled with AASM Hammer-guided bombs. The explosions are so powerful that smoke clouds are reaching the sky. Following this striking attack, tons of Russian ammunition have been eliminated. It is noteworthy that there is a waterfront in the area where the explosion occurred. The Russians are likely transporting this ammunition from the waterfront using small boats. However, Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 pilots have disrupted the Russians' military logistics artery with a surprise airstrike in the village of Velika Novosilka in the Donetsk Oblast. Following the successful attack, the Ukrainian army sent drones to the area where the weapons depot was located to gather information on the current situation. The weapons depot has been completely destroyed. So, another successful airstrike operation. Now we are back in the Kursk Oblast. This time, we are heading to Tyotkino. The 225th Separate Assault Battalion of the Ukrainian Air Force is carrying out an incredible airstrike operation here. The footage begins with a building structure hidden in a wooded area, which was being used as a gathering point for Russian military personnel. The 225th Airborne Division receives the coordinates of this location from Ukrainian drone operators and begins the operation. The airstrike operation, which begins with AASM Hammer bombs, continues with large explosions in the building. After the guided bombs hit the building, the facility, which was being used as a gathering area, is completely destroyed. You can see black smoke columns rising into the sky. This was one of the centers of Russian forces' defense activities and offensive operations in Kursk. However, the facility has been rendered completely unusable by the AASM Hammer bombs. The facility's current state is reflected in the drone camera footage. Our next stop is the town of Oleshki in the Kursk Oblast. A Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter jet launches an attack wave targeting a tactical-level command center housing Russian military personnel and equipment using two GBU-62 JDAM-ER bombs. The footage begins with a Russian military vehicle turning onto a side street in a narrow alley. It is not difficult to make out the structures that have been reduced to rubble in the area. A MiG-29 fighter jet then appears on screen. This jet is likely equipped with GBU-62 JDAM-ER bombs. The facility targeted by the jet reappears on screen. Two GBU-62 JDAM-ER bombs are ready to strike. Now it's time for the explosion. After the first bomb hits, one of the buildings belonging to the Russian command facility is completely destroyed. Black smoke clouds completely cover the area. Then the second bomb hits its target, and boom! The Russian command facility is completely destroyed. The Russian command facility is completely destroyed after the second GBU-62 JDAM-ER bomb hits. After the second bomb explodes, so much dust clouds form in the area where the facility was located that nothing can be seen. Video footage released after this striking airstrike shows that the chances of survival for the soldiers allegedly inside the Russian command facility are almost zero. Our current destination is the vicinity of the village of Kozynka in the Zaporizhia region. The target is a Russian military drone control center located there. Once again, a MiG-29 fighter jet and AASM 250 Hammer guided bombs integrated into the jet are playing a leading role in the operation. The footage begins with a desolate landscape. The drone control center, hidden within wooded areas, is uncovered after extensive efforts by Ukrainian drone operators. It is then reported that the MiG-29 fighter jet has taken off. Now comes the most striking part of the operation. Within seconds, the Russian UAV control center is destroyed by two AASM 250 Hammer bombs dropped from the MiG-29 fighter jet. You can see the first bomb explode, followed by the second. The final state of the drone control center after this critical bombardment attack clearly demonstrates how successfully the air operation was carried out. With this successful operation, the Ukrainian Air Force has also thwarted Russian military drone attack activities in the Zaporizhia region. After this incredible airstrike, our next stop will be the village of Borisivka in the Kursk Oblast. The images begin with a building structure that appears to have been converted into a military facility. Ukrainian drone operators discovered that Russian forces are preparing for an attack here in Borisivka. The operation then begins. A Su-27 fighter jet takes off toward the area near Borisivka to destroy Russian military facilities there. As you can see, everything is ready. All that remains is to level the Russian military facility. After completing its sorties, the Su-27 destroys Russian soldiers' weapon depots, command centers, and gathering areas in Kharkiv. The moments when the fighter jet bombs are dropped are captured in these images. The white dust clouds rising into the sky prove that the entire Russian military facility has been destroyed. We are witnessing another successful air operation. The Su-27 pilot has likely carried out consecutive airstrikes. The latest images from the Russian military facility show that many buildings there have been destroyed. However, a report published by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense after the operation revealed that the main target was an arms depot located in the basement of a building in Borisivka. A Su-27 pilot belonging to the Ukrainian Air Force destroyed this hidden weapons depot during air operations. It is truly an incredible performance. Our next stop is the town of Soledar in the Donetsk Oblast. A video released in June reveals a tragic incident involving the Russian Air Force in this settlement. The footage begins with a Russian Su-25 fighter jet crashing into a field in Soledar, engulfed in flames. After hitting the ground, the aircraft explodes violently. The Su-25 is virtually torn into 1,000 pieces. The flames rise into the air along with the plane's debris. The fate of the Russian pilot remains unknown. However, a report published after the attack states that the pilot of the Su-25 survived. It is likely that the pilot ejected from the aircraft before it crashed. The only detail known from the footage is that this Russian Su-25 is now beyond repair. We are now returning to the Zaporizhia region. The target is an underground facility where Russian soldiers are hiding and have turned it into a makeshift shelter. The main role in the operation is played by Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 fighter jets. It is also reported that these jets used AASM Hammer bombs during the operation. Now it's time for the footage of the operation. The footage begins with the target shelter facility. A Russian soldier is seen at the entrance of the shelter. Following footage captured by Ukrainian drone operators, the operation begins. The pilots of the MiG-29 fighter jets carry out an incredible operation by firing AASM Hammer bombs at these underground shelters built in Zaporizhia. Following the heavy airstrikes, footage shows the underground shelter completely destroyed. Reports also indicate that Russian soldiers believed to be hiding inside the shelter have been eliminated. Finally, we will now discuss a successful air operation carried out by Ukraine's 414th Separate Unmanned Systems Brigade on June 20th, 2025. The brigade's soldiers released verified footage showing an FPV unmanned aerial vehicle guiding a Russian soldier who had surrendered from a forested area to Ukrainian infantry positions. The footage, belonging to the unit known as Magyar's Birds, clearly shows that one of Ukraine's most advanced unmanned aerial vehicle brigades carried out a highly successful operation. The main focus of the footage was the use of an F-10 model platform, a frontline FPV drone designed for both attack and reconnaissance. These moments are believed to mark the first publicly recorded instance of an unmanned aerial vehicle escorting a suspect to be captured alive rather than killed. The moment of surrender captured in these striking images took place around June 17th, and the video was released on June 20th through the brigade's public channels. In the video, a single Russian soldier is seen advancing through a forested area while being guided by an F-10 unmanned aerial vehicle hovering above him. Unarmed and occasionally raising his arms toward the UAV's direction, he moves toward the area controlled by Ukraine. This was not an ordinary surveillance quadcopter. It was a manually piloted FPV system designed to carry bombs or TNT under each wing. Here, the pilot chose to observe rather than actively participate. Based on open-source analysis, the UAV shadowed the Ukrainian infantry forces for several minutes at a steady altitude and orbit until they were able to capture it without incident. This was not an isolated act of restraint. It was a deliberate surrender by the drone. It was a meticulously planned psychological operation. Such stories are now being used to undermine Russian morale and demonstrate Ukraine's dominance on the battlefield, even in the disputed regions of Donbass. When we examine all these video footage, photographs, and reports, it becomes clear just how advanced the Ukrainian Air Force has become. The integration of Western air-to-air missiles into combat jets and the execution of precision airstrike operations are the clearest evidence supporting this notion. Additionally, such air operations conducted in Russian settlements like Kursk and Belgorod demonstrate that Ukrainians do not recognize borders. Thank you for watching.